Welcome, Simon Mejia, music producer, visual artist, and environmentalist. Bomba Estéreo.
Hello everyone. Good evening. My name is Simon Mejia. I'm a music producer and visual artist, and I'm also a father. So yes, I'm concerned about what's happening today in the planet as with society. I created a very popular band back in 2005 called Bomba Estéreo. We even made music with Will Smith, so it's really popular. It sounds funny today, but it's really popular. I toured the world for more than 10 years, but after the pandemic, I decided to stop touring. But I will tell you later why. I come from Colombia, that is this beautiful and tragic country at the same time. Why tragic? Because we lived under violence and war throughout all of our history. And as we're seeing today, war is the terrible thing of humanity. And if we want to start solving things, we have to, first of all, stop war. Second, stop listening to politicians. And third, start listening to innovators, you guys, and to indigenous leaders, and to the students protesting outside as well. So back to the positive, Colombia. Colombia, really beautiful and amazing country. We have all of the ecosystems of the planet in this small territory, all of the ecosystems of the planet. We have, as you guys, both the Pacific and Atlantic Ocean. We have the Andean mountain range. We have two amazing jungles, the Pacific rainforest and the Amazon jungle, and we have the plains. We are full of birds, #1 country in diversity of birds in the world. We're full of water, and we're full of jungles. But best of all, we have one of the greatest music in the world. That it's not reggaeton, as you guys may think, because yes, we have lots of gold, so that's maybe we have also that kind of music, but it's the ancient, traditional Afro-Indigenous music from Colombia that has been happening for centuries, and is played by ethnic minorities in Colombia. And it sounds more or less like this. I'll give you some small examples. That's #1. I have to stop because I don't have so much time. So this music I came to realize very late in my career that is a music that has inspired not only me, but Bomba Estéreo and many artists all around the world, and in Colombia, of course. And it's a music that is inspired by Colombia's great biodiversity, by the sound of the jungles, by the sound of the rivers, by the sound of birds, and by the sound and those connections with the spiritual beliefs of those ancient indigenous communities. And also, as an environmentalist, I discovered that my industry, the music industry, had a huge impact on nature, huge impact on nature. So that's what basically took me off touring, because as always, the data is impressive. Data in the era of streaming, impressive data. In an era of heavy touring and planes all over the skies, and in an era of massive festival attending. So I decided to get off the touring plane because yes, touring maybe was funnier in the 80s, but today is not so fun. So I decided to stop and start walking the talking, walking the talking. Because yes, guys, if music dies, if nature dies, music dies. If nature dies, music dies. But we should not give it all to artists, because in the industry, in the music industry, there are lots of other industries involved as well that have to take responsibility as well in this big problem. The transportation industry, the food industry, the energy providers industry, even the streaming industry have to take responsibility and can start making a greener and taking a greener path in the music business. But I decided to walk the talk, take action, and during the pandemic, I started a musical project that is called Monte, that translates to jungle in Colombia. That is also a place where in Colombia have happened all the major revolutions, including this indigenous revolution of connecting with nature. And Monte is all about using the sounds of nature to make music. Because I think one of the major, or the root of this big environmental problem we're into today is that we humans lost connection with nature. And maybe through sound, there's a way of reconnecting with nature. So that's my small piece of action, and Monte more or less sounds like this.
El mundo es una maloca, redonda. El mundo es una maloca, redonda. Los árboles normalmente son huesos de la humanidad.
Thank you. So that's a 2-minute sample of what I've been doing for the last 4 years. Yeah, so music, sound isn't enough today. We need action. We need action, guys. Action, action, action. Because this climate crisis that we call, we should not see it as a crisis. As one of my big influencers says, Brian Eno, we should see it as a climate opportunity for change. Climate opportunity for change. So I joined the Earth Percent initiative, which is basically an initiative of the music industry giving back to the planet. And how does it work? Us artists give 1%, 1% of our musical revenue back to the oldest and newest artist of all, that is the Earth, that is nature. That thanks to this initiative, Nature is now officially an artist in Spotify and all streaming platforms. All streaming platforms. So, 1% sounds pretty symbolic, right? But sum up all the 1% in an ideal world, all the 1% of all artists of the world, if they join these kind of initiatives. For example, only in Spotify, there are 11 million artists. So 1% of each one of those artists is a lot of money that goes through this initiative to projects that are working on field towards climate change, greener the music industry, environmental justice, conservation. So some of my catalog in Monte is under this, and this is my latest release under this model, a Bomba Estéreo remix that I did that is features nature, and guys can go and check on Spotify. And with every click, we're giving back to the earth, and you guys are giving back to the earth. So it's a really clever solution of changing the world using the power of technology to give back to the earth. Action, action, guys. And following this line of action, I found it also during the pandemic that I had plenty of time to find and think about things. An impact production company that is called Montejungla, translate to jungle jungle, and it's made up of a diverse group of people. Two of them are sitting here, my wife, who is an industrial engineer and administrator, and Dave, who actually lives here in Boston. He's an educator and social impact leader. So we have an office in Boston if you guys want to reach out. And there's John in Mexico and Lorena back in Colombia and me, and we basically started doing short documentary environmental and musical films. These both two are on YouTube. You guys can check. They are directly linked to actions in the communities, in the territories of Colombia. And now we're focused on 2 feature-length documentaries that will be released in 2025. One about the Magdalena River of Colombia, that is the origin of all this amazing music that I was playing at the beginning. And the other one that is called The Shape of the Trees, that is about 3 environmental Colombian female leaders that live in a country that kills environmental leaders on a daily basis. These 2 documentaries are going to be linked to 2 very beautiful impact campaigns that will work with the communities involved in the films towards education process, cultural and artistic process, and conservation of their territories. And because yes, after walking all this path and walking the talking, I'm truly convinced that today we need to impact first and then entertain, not the opposite. Entertainment should be a celebration of an achieved impact, not the opposite. Music and film reserves is our big dream finally at Montejungla, is to create a series of conservation reserves, conservation natural reserves in Colombia, financed through a kind of earth% model, through local film and music and festival industries in Colombia that finance natural reserves that will protect not only thousands of hectares of pristine forest and water fountains, but that also will be a way of leveling the carbon footprint of all those industries in Colombia, film, music, and festival industries in Colombia, can be a way of giving job opportunities to communities in the territories, avoiding them to go to the conflict and to war. And finally, that can be a great place for visitors, local and international, to be inspired by the greatest of all, that is nature. So this, guys, is my perspective on how arts, entertainment, film, and music can help on this climate crisis. That, remember, we should not call it a climate crisis, but a climate opportunity for change. Thank you very much. This is my social media when you reach out. If you want to know more about, I'll be happy to tell you after the session. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.